Intro music. The biggest shifts in technology often happen completely in silence. Beat, beat. Google just quietly dropped a brand new mid-tier image model that released it without any fanfare over the weekend, and it is entirely destroying its own premium counterpart. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring Max Ann's definitive 2026 guide today. We're looking at the silent launch of Nano Banana 2. This model is officially codenamed Gemini 3.1 Flash Image. Today, we're going to explore exactly how this lightning-fast model works. We'll break down the brutal head-to-head performance tests. We are comparing it directly against version 1 and the Pro tier. We'll unpack the completely new workflow features it brings. Finally, we'll explain exactly how you can use it right now. You can easily upgrade your creative workflow for free today.
Yeah, let's start with the actual launch itself. It was incredibly quiet. The silent drop happened on February 26, 2026. It came directly from the Google DeepMind development team. Most big AI launches come with heavy, dramatic press releases. They usually have a massive keynote presentation attached to them. But there were absolutely no flashy announcements for this one.
Right. There were no executive tweets hyping up the technical specs. They didn't even use a standard marketing countdown timer.
Exactly. It just quietly appeared on long for people to find. What's truly fascinating is the massive technical leap itself. It represents a fundamental shift in daily AI image generation. The technical specs are absolutely incredible to review in detail. It generates stunning, high-fidelity visuals very quickly for everyday users. We are talking about 3 to 5 seconds maximum per image. It uses the highly efficient Flash architecture to achieve this speed.
That is incredibly fast. For professional, high-quality rendering, it completely changes the beat.
Right, and you no longer choose between speed and quality. Think about a standard smartphone product lineup today. You have the cheap base model for everyday, casual use. Then you have the highly expensive Pro version for professionals. Imagine buying that cheap base model phone at the store. Then you take it home and test it out, and you find out it heavily outperforms the $1,200 Pro model.
Yeah, that is exactly what Nano Banana 2 just accomplished. It behaves exactly like a premium flagship model right away. But it still runs at that blazing mid-tier speed. Why would Google quietly release a mid-tier model that undercuts their own flagship product?
It is a massive flex of their raw computing infrastructure. They're proving their baseline architecture is now highly efficient. It doesn't need a massive, bloated compute budget anymore. It easily creates professional, photorealistic visuals right now for cheap.
Beat, prioritizing pure efficiency and speed over massive, expensive computing power. Let's actually look at the specific side-by-side performance tests. We are comparing it directly against version 1 first. Max ran 5 very clean, controlled visual comparison tests. He used the exact same prompts for both models. He didn't tweak anything to artificially favor the new version.
That is crucial for establishing a real, honest baseline test. The first category they tested was standard hero images. Hero images are those massive website header graphics. They basically dictate your entire first impression online. They always need to feel polished and highly intentional. Version 1 gave you a perfectly usable image overall, but it felt incredibly flat and completely soulless. It looked exactly like generic corporate stock photography.
But version 2 changes that dynamic entirely. It immediately gives us genuine, dramatic, cinematic lighting. You get deep shadows and real atmospheric depth in there. The image moves from just acceptable to genuinely striking. If you design landing pages, this completely changes things.
It absolutely does. Then we move on to the complex cyberpunk scenes. Cyberpunk is a brutal stress test for any AI model. It demands razor-sharp detail and highly complex, chaotic lighting. Version 1 caught the overall cyberpunk vibe just fine, but the bright neon lights felt totally painted on. They didn't actually illuminate the surrounding scene properly.
Version 2 handles this lighting challenge completely differently. It features these intensely glowing, realistic neon light fixtures. You see natural light reflections bouncing off wet city streets. The background billboards connect perfectly with the foreground puddles. They genuinely feel like they exist in one cohesive world. It doesn't instantly remind you it's just an AI image.
Next up, we have the standard YouTube thumbnails test. Thumbnails need to be visually bold and highly readable. Version 1 produced an unusable and slightly creepy photograph. The colors were okay, but it completely failed the layout.
Version 2 provides professional, high-contrast visual layouts immediately. The overall composition has a much more distinct, bold personality. The layout actually makes logical sense at a very quick glance.
The fourth test looked at highly complex data infographics. Infographics usually make standard AI image models fall apart entirely. They need highly structured layouts and very consistent visual styling. Version 1 could mimic an infographic layout decently well, but the generated text was always messy and visually inconsistent.
I still wrestle with endless prompt tweaking just to get text right. Beat. So that specific upgrade is truly massive for my workflow.
Yeah, it saves a massive amount of daily production time. Version 2 produces colorful, highly structured graphic layouts very easily. The embedded text is significantly sharper and far more accurate. It is finally reliable enough to use in real project drafts. Finally, we have the highly detailed miniature scenes test.
Miniature scenes demand extreme visual precision. They rely on very specific optical illusions to work. Version 1 blurred the mathematical scale completely. The tiny, intricate details simply melted together into a soft blur.
Version 2 brings crisp, sharp wood grain textures back. It renders tiny ceramic bowls and miniature lanterns perfectly well. The subtle depth of field looks completely natural and real. The physical scale is incredibly convincing to the human eye. You genuinely want to zoom in to check if it's real.
Looking at the miniature test, what makes the depth of field in V2 finally look convincing instead of fake?
It handles the complex microtextures much better now. When the wood grain is perfectly mathematically sharp, your brain accepts the optical illusion of the tiny scale.
Sharp microtextures trick the human brain into accepting the miniature illusion. Here's where it gets really interesting for us today. Now we reach the biggest technical upset in the guide. We're comparing version 2 directly to Nano Banana Pro. Pro was supposed to be the premium, highly expensive tier. It was the flagship tier you paid more for.
People naturally assumed version 2 would sit safely below Pro. That early assumption was completely and totally wrong. Version 2 is significantly more dynamic and highly cinematic. Pro is slightly tidier, but it feels much less striking overall. Let's look at the rigorous face test first. This specific test used a prompt for an 80s boombox scene.
Pro actually takes the win in this specific category. Version 2 makes a beautiful, rich retro environment here. It even adds a nice, convincing retro date stamp. But it alters the main subject's face entirely. It completely failed to recreate the original person accurately.
Pro maintains identity consistency perfectly throughout the entire generation. The output person actually matches the input photo exactly. Then we have the complex multi-part detail test. This involved rendering a yellow mug and a glass pyramid. It was basically a functional tie in this specific category. Both models completely failed to put a dragonfly inside a book.
They both incorrectly placed the dragonfly on the cover instead, but version 2 had much better physics-based environmental reflections. The yellow polka dot mug reflected realistically in the space. It mirrored properly inside the surrounding glass pyramid structure.
Pro really struggled to render those glass refractions accurately. Finally, we have the cinematic movie set mashup test. They mix Star Wars and Pirates of the Caribbean themes together. Version 2 absolutely destroys Pro in this specific test. Pro looks like a really cheap $5 Photoshop job.
The blending on Pro was rough and completely obvious. It looked like someone hastily pasted a face onto a body. Version 2 seamlessly blends the lighting and body proportions together. The face fits naturally into the fictional sci-fi scene.
Whoa. Imagine generating flawless cinematic Star Wars composites in 3 seconds. Beat. It is genuinely hard to comprehend that raw computing speed. The visual quality gap between the two models is massive here.
If V2 is this good, when should a creator actually spend the time and money to use the Pro model?
Only when exact human identity matters more than anything else. If the face absolutely has to match the input photo, you have to use Pro.
Use Pro for exact faces, use V2 for literally everything else. Sponsor. Welcome back. Let's unpack this new architecture properly now. We've seen how incredible the raw visual output is, but let's break down the actual daily workflow upgrades. This goes far beyond just raw visual output quality.
It fundamentally changes how creators interact with the AI day to day. The isolated image editing is vastly improved now. When you ask it to adjust a specific part, it listens. It perfectly isolates that area without destroying the whole composition. Earlier versions constantly overcorrected and ruined the entire layout. Now the edits feel highly controlled rather than deeply destructive.
It also handles specific aspect ratios much smarter now. You can easily specify landscape, portrait, or square dimensions. It respects 16:9 formatting perfectly without any awkward cropping issues. It handles 9:16 vertical formatting without losing the core aesthetic.
This matters immensely for professional social media content creators. Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn all demand different ideal visual ratios. Getting this wrong constantly wastes a massive amount of production time. But the biggest technical upgrade overall is probably search grounding.
We should definitely define that specific jargon quickly, using live Google search to verify real-world details before drawing.
Exactly. It pulls real visual data from the internet instantly. This means location-specific imagery actually looks highly accurate now. When you ask for a real specific global location, it responds accurately. Tokyo actually looks exactly like the real streets of Tokyo.
It isn't just generating a generic, lazy visual cliché. The visual context is far more accurate and highly believable. It pulls directly from real updated visual context online. It isn't just guessing based on outdated training data anymore.
It also features much cleaner text and language generation. Embedded text used to be AI's absolute biggest weakness. You always got blurry letters and misspelled words baked in. Version 2 renders embedded text markedly sharper and cleaner. It also has robust, accurate, multilingual support built right in.
It handles multiple different languages inside images perfectly well now. This is a genuine, massive quality-of-life upgrade for global creators. How does search grounding change the way we prompt for locations?
You don't have to describe the architecture anymore. You just name the city, and the AI pulls the exact street-level reality into the render.
2-sec silence. You simply name the city, and the AI handles the architecture. So what does this all mean for us? How can you actually access this powerful tool today? The rollout isn't completely instant for every single user yet, but it is currently free via the standard Gemini app.
You just need to select Thinking or Pro mode inside. Look closely for the visual loading indicator to appear briefly. That means the new 3.1 Flash architecture is running. It is also the default rendering engine in Google Flow.
That is their very popular free AI video generation suite. You can also find it working smoothly inside Google Ads today. There are also several major third-party websites hosting it today. Popular creator sites like Higgsfield AI and FAL have it available now.
Who really needs to care about this specific update? Professional content creators, daily marketers, and visual designers will care immediately. Faster, high-quality visuals deeply reduce your daily iteration cycles. You spend less time waiting and more time actually creating.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is massive. Small daily quality gains compound massively over a full year. YouTubers get significantly better thumbnails without hours of frustrating tweaking. Social media managers get faster hero images that look deeply polished.
Marketers get cleaner product visuals without constantly waiting on a designer. Bloggers get highly custom illustrations without blowing their monthly production budget. It democratizes high-end visual production completely. Nano Banana 2 proves massive compute size isn't everything anymore.
A much faster mid-tier architecture completely redefined the visual industry standard. It smartly uses search grounding to verify reality before drawing. It successfully created professional AI image generation for absolutely everyone. What does this mean for the future of premium AI tiers across the industry?
It forces competitors to justify their price tags. If the free, fast tier is this photorealistic, the paid tiers have to offer literal perfection.
Free, fast photorealism forces premium models to deliver absolute, flawless perfection. We highly encourage you to open the Gemini app today. Try generating a highly complex infographic for your own project. Test out a demanding, highly detailed miniature tilt-shift scene. See the massive, undeniable leap in visual quality for yourself.
You will see immediately how it handles complex text and real-world lighting. It is a genuine game-changer for everyday creative workflows.
If a mid-tier Flash model can outsmart its Pro version by verifying reality through live search before it even draws a pixel, what happens when that verify before you create logic skills to live real-time video generation? Something to think about. Outro music.